Despite parental and consumer pushback, Disney continues to shove their woke agenda as hard as they can. Well, if they want to fight, I'm suited back up and ready to go. I kicked commie booty once, and I'm happy to do it again. Rosie the Riveter here, dropping more truth bombs to destroy fake news and propaganda. Before we get started, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Doing so really does help share the truth with more people. Don't forget to hit the notification bell as well to get new videos when they are uploaded. Let's get into today's riveting topic. A while back, I did a video on Disney's LGBTQ wokeness, showing their contempt for Christians as they implement their pride agenda within their workspaces. I've included a link to that video in the description box. As we all predicted, that wokeness has unashamedly bled over into their work product, as they are now preaching the gospel of critical race theory, or CRT, and the 1619 Project in their cartoons, revising an old series called The Proud Family, because apparently they can't come up with anything new or original. Disney wrote an episode with the distinct purpose of indoctrinating the children watching the show with anti-white, anti-American CRT rhetoric. Here's the clip.
This country was built on slavery, which means slaves built this country. Tilled this land from sea to sea to sea. First there was rice, tobacco, sugar cane. Then Whitney did his thing and cotton became king. And we were its soldiers, 4 million strong, fighting for America's freedoms, even though we remained America's slaves. Built this country. The descendants of slaves continue to build it. Slaves built this country. And we, the descendants of slaves in America, have earned reparations for their suffering. And continue to earn reparations every moment we spend submerged in the systemic prejudice, racism, and white supremacy that America was founded with and still has not atoned for. Slaves built this country. Not only field hands, but carpenters, masons, blacksmiths, musicians, inventors built cities from Jamestown to New Orleans to Banneker, Washington. 40 acres and a mule. We'll take the 40 acres, keep the mule. We made your families rich. From the southern plantation heirs to the northern bankers to the New England ship owners, the founding fathers, former presidents, current senators,
the Illuminati, the New World Order.
Slaves built this country. We had Tubman, Turner,
Frederick D.
Didn't they say Lincoln freed the slaves?
But slaves were men.
And women. And only we can free ourselves. Emancipation is not freedom. Jim Crow, segregation, redlining, public schools feeding private prisons, where we become slaves again. As we celebrate Juneteenth for the umpteenth time, our account is still outstanding. Cause this country was built on slavery, which means slaves built this country. And we demand our 40 acres and a mule. Bump that! You can keep the mule.
Keep the 40.
We're taking our freedom.
On a side note, it is interesting they named them the Proud Family. As I explained in my 2 cents on making the rainbow great again, pride is a prominent sin that often sparks many, many others. You might want to check out that video too. But today, I want to address the horrible rewrite of history, the whole critical race theory and 1619 Project agenda is, exposing their lies about slavery and reparations. The children in the Disney video spout off so much mis- and disinformation and some outright lies. It will take multiple videos to correct it all, which I will do. But let's start with an overview of facts about slavery in America. CRT and the 1619 Project purposely and incorrectly imply that America is the only country that has ever had slavery, and Black people are the only ones who have ever been enslaved. Both are complete and utter lies. But that didn't stop Disney from promoting them. Slavery, a horrible and unacceptable institution, has existed since the fall of man, and all races have experienced it across the globe at some point, including some in this very time right now. The focus of the Disney propaganda piece is that slaves built this country, insinuating the white man contributed nothing. Therefore, the entire black population is entitled to reparations. Yes, slaves did a lot of the hard labor in this country, but slaves were expensive and not everyone had one, let alone multiple slaves. Even if they did, many of the owners still had to work out in the field or in the shop along with the slaves. In many of households, they were often extra hands, not the only hands. CRT thinking completely ignores the growth in America after the Revolution, where northern states abolished slavery and built the industrial component of America with free workers of all races, no slave labor. It also deliberately disregards all the free blacks in America before the Civil War and even before the Revolution. So, who really did own slaves and who has been enslaved in America? Glenn Beck of Blaze TV did a fabulous documentary called Debunking Outrageous Lies from the new Hulu series, The 1619 Project. He gives a complete history of slavery in the world, but this clip is regarding America. Take a look.
Carter Woodson, this guy is absolutely an American hero. He is considered by many, like me, the father of black history. He studied the 1830 census data and found that among free blacks, they were free, who were eligible to own slaves, 16% owned black slaves. He found an even higher percentage in certain states. How about South Carolina? If you were a free black, 43% of them owned a black slave or slaves. South Carolina, 40%, Louisiana, 26% in Mississippi, 25% in Alabama, 20% in Georgia. I thought this was a white on black crime. This is a human malady. Again, not to minimize slavery, but to put it into context. I'm not reimagining anything. This is black and white proof. Now they show how diverse things were, even in America. It's not the sleek narrative of the 1619 Project. Bad guy, good guy.
When people started coming to this country in the early 1600s, many came as indentured servants, trading 7 years of work for their passage here. Were some brought against their will? Absolutely. But it included blacks and whites, and they were still freed after 7 years. Truth be told, far, far more whites were brought here as servants than blacks.
Another inconvenient context is that 1619 leaves out how common white slavery was throughout world history, including during American colonial times. Over 300,000 black slaves were shipped to North American colonies, but 1.25 million white Europeans, wait, what was that? White Europeans were shipped into slave markets to Northern Africa. Did you even know that?
Since black servants were more rare, they were more valuable and thusly treated better than their white counterparts. That is, until Bacon's Rebellion in 1675, an incredibly interesting story, but for another video. After their 7 years, servants fulfilled their commitment and were freed with a set of clothes, some food, some land, a little money, and a skill to take care of themselves as a productive citizen. One of those servants, Anthony Johnson, started his own farm, and he took on several indentured servants of his own. In 1654, Johnson sued one of his servants for supposedly not fulfilling his 7-year contract. The judge sentenced that servant to life as Johnson's servant, becoming the first recorded slave in American history. Soon it became common to indefinitely hold servants, and slavery became the norm. Did I mention Johnson was a servant from Africa? That's right, America. The first official slave owner in this country was a black man. You can read the whole story at thefactspaper.com in the Color-Blindness of Slavery, and I'll have that link below. Before the Revolution, the colonies repeatedly passed legislation to allow citizens to free their slaves, but English officials here, the Parliament in London, and the King of England all refused over and over again. Slavery was forced on the colonies. So why in God's green earth would we have fought the war to preserve it as CRT claims? We wouldn't, and we didn't. It's a bold-faced lie, and there's proof. Jefferson's original draft of the Declaration of Independence included a detailed paragraph excoriating King George III for forcing slavery on the colonies. He criticized the king for not only enslaving an innocent people, but for also terminating the colony's every attempt to abolish it. Jefferson furthered his verbal thrashing by denouncing the king for then turning those people that he enslaved against the very people desiring their liberation by bribing them with freedom if they fought for the redcoats. I discussed this in more detail in my video, My 2 Cents in the True History of Declaring Independence and Slavery. Check out that video. Unfortunately, the paragraph had to be removed because 2 of the 13 colonies would not agree with it, and the Patriots needed a united front when fighting King George III. Otherwise, the colonies would have been divided, turned against each other, and all would have been lost. Instead, they opted to fight that particular fight another day. The Proud family rounded out their little propaganda piece with demands for reparations, believing that white man only benefited from the black man's work. So you're telling me the black man hasn't benefited at all from what America has become? Really? So, since we know for a fact that blacks, as well as Indians, owned black slaves, what steps will be taken to have the descendants of those slave owners pay reparations? Maybe we should ask Camilla Harris if she has any ideas. What about the descendants of all the white slaves? One of my lines on my dad's side, a great-great-grandmother, her family was here before the Revolution. The entire rest of my dad's family came in the 1800s and settled in Pennsylvania, a free state. None of them owned slaves. In fact, many settled there because there was not slavery there. What justification is there for their descendants to pay reparations? What about all the immigrants who came after the Civil War? And what about all the blacks that immigrated here and were never slaves? Here's the truth, America. This has nothing to do with slavery, reparations, or even racism. This is a Marxist ideology to separate the people in every way possible, by race in this case, so the elitist puppet masters will be able to control society. It's what the founders avoided by removing Jefferson's paragraph, and what we need to avoid now to stop this pure, unadulterated grab for communism. We cannot fall into their trap. We Rosies did not sacrifice like we did in World War II, only to lose it all now. The truth is, we're fighting World War III as we speak. This is my battlefield, and truth is my ammunition. I will be posting a series of videos debunking and exposing the misinformation, disinformation, and outright lies of CRT and the 1619 Project, and showing the true history of this country. Will you join me in this fight, Patriots? like, subscribe, and share to everyone so they will know the truth too. The truth will set us free. I'm Rosie the Riveter, and that's my 2 cents. But what do you think? Leave your comments down below. Make no mistake, we are in an information war, and the weapon is truth. Find it. If you don't know where to start, check out thefactspaper.com, where I have links to thousands of articles fighting fake news and propaganda, including those noted in this video. Investigate and discover the truth for yourself. The fight is tough and the fight is hard, but we are winning. The light of truth will destroy the evils of darkness. Come on, patriots. We can do it.